Welcome to this week's Eccentric Minute, brought to you by Eccentric. Our first exercise here in the Eccentric Minute is the K-Box squat. This is the granddaddy of all of them, guys. One that we use at all levels of our training with a vast array of athletes. Couple big tips. I like to use something for our hands to support it. Make sure that strap is completely taut at the top. Don't leave it short, don't leave it long. What I really like the most about it, guys, the isoinertial wheel, we're going to use this with other squats as well. The other squats are working to depth. These, we're going to get to an athletic position and work our way up. Push hard and make sure you're fighting to hit that braking force. As we cut reps, we usually cut depth as well to make it a little bit more transferable to what we do. This is an awesome exercise that I can't recommend enough. Throw it in your training. It's going to be great for you and your athlete. I really hope you enjoyed this week's Eccentric Minute. Make sure you check them out at eccentric.com to find out everything you need about the K-Box and the K-Pulley. Being a strength and conditioning professional requires constant pursuit of better knowledge, better methods, and better means. But what if there was a place where strength and conditioning coaches could learn from some of the most innovative practitioners in the world, such as Jeff Moyer, Lachlan Wilmot, William Wayland, James the Thinker Smith, and Keir Wenham Flatt? Well, you could find multiple lectures from each of these top-level coaches and a few lectures and examples from yours truly as well, all in the Strength Coach Network. The Strength Coach Network is going to bring you well over 100 different lectures from some of the top practitioners in the world to be your one-stop shop for your continuing education and professional development. So hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASP today and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. That's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS to get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Today, guys, I have the absolute pleasure of discussing all things training for basketball players with Matt Johnson. Guys, this was a really awesome Instagram Live we did a few weeks back, and Matt's going to share with us a lot of really awesome things, including like the metrics he was collecting and what he was looking at and some things that he saw throughout the season, and a new project that he's been working on, really to learn more of what basketball coaches are looking for from us when it comes to development. And then we're also going to really get into what the role we have in this world of sport performance is turning into and how we may need to change our views on development based on this break. And that includes like what we may need to focus on going forward. This is really an awesome talk, guys. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Let's get right to it.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, man. In the bedroom office.
Brilliant.
So,
Brilliant.
Got the snake plant behind me, so it's different, but doing well, man. Everything all right with you? Looks like a nice day there.
Come again?
Looks like a nice day there.
Yeah, dude, it's like 72. It's really nice. I mean, obviously we'd both rather be doing other things, but like, yeah, I mean,
Oh, for sure.
if I could sit outside and rap with my guy and it's 72 degrees, I mean, shoot, why not? I might have to move though. My neighbors are doing people behind us are doing some pretty, it seems as though some pretty significant landscaping work. So I might have to just pick up and go inside here if whatever barrage of tools they've had out for the day kick back up.
For sure.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, no, it's cold and rainy here today. Actually, it was pouring rain all day yesterday. So unfortunately, any options for outdoor, a walk or a run or a workout is pretty limited, but it's supposed to get pretty nice next week.
Nice.
So definitely jealous of the 72-degree weather, man.
Yeah, dude, it's one of the perks of being in the South, but then people will complain when it's 90 in a month, so
yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
We're always chirping about something, but what's cooking out there, man? You said there were people that threw out some questions on your Instagram other than Grant saying we need to do push-ups, which I can't do right
now.
What else did you get fired at you?
I got some at-home workout ideas. apparently, and this is kind of something we've run into a little bit, is Amazon perform better. A lot of these, fitness sites are out of stock in terms of equipment. So currently I'm working on some plate exercises, so some paper plate exercises, exercises you can do with a towel. And I'm trying to get some stuff done with, like, hey, here's a bunch of things you can do just with an elevated surface like a couch or a set of stairs or something like that, where I think there's a lot of options you can do. But, taking care of the guys right now, just in terms of, obviously a really emotional, time in their life, and, making those phone calls and just making sure they're good. I know myself, just speaking, directly to myself, it was hard for me to, cope with for a couple of days, but, there's always lessons in the journey, man. And, we definitely learn, a valuable lesson, and, that's our health. That's number one. That always takes priority. And we've talked about that just in terms of self-care and things that we should do as coaches, nutritionally and fitness routines to stay right, and stay good. Other than that, just really doing a lot of work quantifying our season. So as you know, we have Connects on. I actually have the little chip right here. So we're putting together a lot of postseason reports, and for me, it's pretty new experience for me, in terms of getting all the movement metrics and just some really eye-opening numbers. So just a little background on that, if I could speak on that, is I put the proposal in the preseason, and you know how it is, the wheels kind of sometimes turn slowly. And so we put the RFP in, and we physically got the technology October 13th. And that was our first date of collection. So from October 13th until our last game, March 11th, I tracked all practices, all skill workouts, all games. So roughly that's a 5.5 month period there. Our top athlete was over 370 miles. Our top jumps, over 9,300 jumps. And in terms of top end sprints, we had one athlete over 550. And a top end sprint based on the technology is over 13 miles per hour. So pretty eye opening, where I played Division III ball, and basketball was always a part of my life. And now just physically looking at the data from this instrumentation, I think it's really going to help us prepare in this off season here whenever we do get the guys. Unfortunately, it's probably looking like end of May or June at this point. But, we're looking at some pretty cool things and peeling some layers back in terms of that mileage metric. Okay, well, let's look at distance accumulated in those speed zones or in those sprint zones. In terms of that jump metric I shared, the 9,300 jumps. Well, what percentage is the really small 1 to 5 inch jumps? What percentage is the maximal jumps? And as you know, combing through the data, I mean, we're talking about 30-something games and over 103 practices, roughly.
Yeah.
That's a lot of data.
Yeah.
And but the interesting thing with the jumps, man, is for me, just speaking, over the years and me working with basketball players, we've always trained hey, let's get 3x3 of max effort jumps. Jump as high as you can, man. Grab a med ball, grab some dumbbells, strap that weight vest on. And we've always hit that in training. Okay. But based on the data, from what I'm seeing right now, is a larger percentile is those small sub-maximal jumps.
Yeah, like the bouncing almost things.
Yeah, the very elastic, very short displacements, where, I think Kevin Durant, and there's a lot of other, tendinopathy related issues where there's been, tendon injuries and things like that. Are we doing enough of that in training to prepare for the demand that the game is placing on them. So that kind of has opened my eyes in terms of, okay, maybe we need to reevaluate our plyometric activity, that a plyo isn't just something we're going to do maximally, right, as high as we can or as far as we can, but chopping it up into little pieces.
No doubt, man. I think that working the different ends of that spectrum are going to be more and more important. I think the more layers we're able to pull back from the game, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, so that's where, you know, a lot of my time is being exerted. And it's funny, you know, I'm calling my strength coach buddies and stuff, but I'm working on an interesting project right now where I'm reaching out to a lot of basketball coaches. And my reasoning for that is, you know, if I can better understand the game from the eyes of a basketball coach, then I can better prepare those athletes. And, you know, I played and stuff like that, but in terms of, you know, just when you're talking to a high level, you know, strength coach, they can talk training, right? And versus somebody that's just an average Joe working out, right? But I'm very interested in how basketball coaches evaluate, right? And what I'm finding is with strength coaches, we evaluate by tests and measures. We quantify things with numbers. And so much of what a basketball coach does is they evaluate by a gut, a feel, what their eyes are telling them, conversations, you know, that relationship aspect. And I'm really interested in development from a skill aspect, that whole side of player development. You know, what do guards need to do very, very well, right? And you know, one thing that, you know, in one of my conversations, I've had 3 different conversations with you know, coaches that I really respect, and the one hit me with this little nugget is a fist fight to get open, a foot fight to score. A fist fight to get open, a foot fight to score. And so then what, you know, I'm trying to find takeaway value. It's like, okay, you know, fist fight, you know, okay, hand, forearm strength, arm strength, dexterity, you know, things that I think sometimes, you know, we've talked a lot about the foot and ankle. Sometimes that becomes, you know, stepbrother to a lot of these things that we do, right? But it's a really, really pivotal piece of performance. So, hey, can we do more, you know, hand, wrist, forearm strength to help them, right? And all that stuff that we're doing in terms of those exercises we're programming, they're truly translating to that player, right? And until recently, I mean, like I kind of view them as like little balls of clay, right? And we need to mold them to fit into the system, the style of play, you know, at Butler, at Richmond, or any school and stuff. But also we need to mold them to have the physical attributes to play their position and to do it very well.
No doubt. And I think that also, too, we've got to be the clay to be able to mold what we do to be best for what's them. I think all too often, like if someone said to me what the coach said to you, that would almost be like a 10-year ago, Jay, that would have been like a stoplight. It would have been like a total reevaluation, you know, because you would think that getting to the basket and getting away from someone would be similar, but I understand like the clutch and grab it and the, you know, like the swim moving and whatever you
yeah
to get open. And then when you are in possession of the ball, you can't do that because they're actually watching you, allegedly. We could talk about those 3 other guys another day, but the newer, older Jay would probably say, okay, but then what does that fit into how this guy plays? I mean, like there are certain players that are never going to be the fist fighter, right? Like, you know, especially like a guy that dominates the ball. Like, do you really need to worry about that, or do they need to be even faster, more elastic, things of
Mhm.
that nature to kind of fit that mold, but not mold them to fit it. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's something that I'm having fun with right now, just in terms of trying to educate myself, and I think the earlier years of me doing this and just kind of what I've digested over the years, I think sport coach and strength coach at times is a little bit of this, and we could better serve our athletes with having more of this unity. And that's all that's the greater purpose of what I'm trying to do here is listen and learn and be invested and show my investments like, hey, what are you looking for? What does player A need to work on this summer on the court? I'm not even talking about the weight room. And now from that conversation, okay, I've created a checklist, and what I found myself in these conversations is like, okay, now what I'm doing is I'm finding exercises that can solve those problems, right?
I dig it.
So I mean, it's just something fun, man. Just trying to look at it in a different scope, different lens. There's no really end goal with it. It's just try to learn as much as possible.
So then how do you see that going forward, like periodization wise? Like, because you're basically going to have to almost start over with your entire like progression schemes in certain situations when it comes to specific adaptations that these coaches are looking for.
Yeah, it's funny. So the one coach, I got the notes right here, is when I asked him a question about skill development. And I said, hey, what is your philosophy, right? What do you view it as? And he said, I view it as a holistic approach. So every one of my players needs to dribble, they need to pass, and they need to shoot. They need to be well-rounded in all those things. Right? And then we got on the conversation of, how basketball at the college level and NBA and really just globally is becoming positionless, where there's really not positions, right? So then what I kind of, what was my takeaway when hearing that was, okay, that is general physical preparation, right? When you're training an athlete, like if this is from a basketball coach's viewpoint, is like they need to dribble, they need to pass, they need to shoot, they need strength, they need power, they need conditioning, right? And then now we're going from there. And so you bring up a good point, and what I'm not necessarily trying to create a framework around this idea, but what I like about it is it will allow me some individual time with guys, because that's my position here at Butler. It's unique. I'm just overseeing these 14 guys every single day, so I have the time, I have the availability to bring Bryce Golden in and working on land on two and being strong in his base and catching the ball low and working leverage and pivoting from that position. And I can do that stuff with a med ball or trying to, pull him off his base with a resistance band, all from the weight room,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
No, 100%.
Some of the stuff I think of and I say sometimes doesn't make sense, but
No, but again, I think that it still comes back to, like you were saying, like the question of where is the line, right? Like, how far does the general go, and how far is far enough, or do we cross lines with some of the specific?
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we sat and talked about one of the guys last summer about like a specific skill that he needed to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I gave like some weight room examples and then like some things that could be done on the court. And I think that allowing for that dexterity within the staff is something that is unique and is earned. It's not given.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be able to answer those questions is earned and not given. But I think that's a really interesting question, you know, to say like, what is development and like, how does it happen? And, you know, because we do quantify things way more.
Than a basketball coach.
I think that we quantify more specific things, because you could say that we had guys who developed exceptionally this year, but like points per game went down.
Yeah.
You know, so I do think that there's probably in the sport coach realm, and this is me just spitballing off the top of my head, and I might come back in an hour and be like, yeah, I was wrong. But like, I think they probably are way more subjective than objective,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in some of those senses, especially in a game that's as chaotic and weird as basketball. You know, like in football, like you can quantify everything. Like,
Oh,
even
for
if
sure.
it's just as simple as like plays you messed up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so much like ebb and flow, and there he goes. Ebb and flow and creativity when it comes to the game of basketball, almost like soccer. Sochi, come on. That it's different. It's maybe not as completely numerically quantifiable. You know, remember when they tried to do that too, when they were like, Dwight Howard was the best player in the NBA because of like 3 statistical numbers?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it'd still probably take LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
Still probably take LeBron, but you know,
it's amazing how much they evaluate the intangibles too.
mm-hmm.
You know, and I think for us, we get a kid, summer 2, first day. We're on a different timeline than the basketball coach or the assistant coach, because what's happened is they've spent this entire time recruiting this kid, learning the intangibles. They know who that kid is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so now we start on, you know, July 3rd or whatever that date is. And now we're trying to get caught up just in terms of, you know, hey, you know, is he a winner? Is he competitive? Is he tough? How can I coach him? Is he more of a direct guy or an indirect guy? You know, just in terms of his personality, like, is he the Wolverine? Is he just, you know, hey, coach, just give me the workout, I'm going to get at it? Or does he need a little bit more, you know, kind of some of that love, you know, put your arm around his shoulder and kind of guide him through?
Mm-hmm.
So that was really fascinating.
And that doesn't even incorporate any of can the guy touch his toes?
Yeah, well, that, you know, that's a whole other part of this conversation, man. I mean, these were like hour and a half long conversations.
That's awesome.
And the one question I presented to all of them, of course, is, hey, do you ask the question? Okay, one, do you ask these kids, do you train? Okay, and, you know, do you do formalized strength conditioning? Do you ask them about the health of their body? Right? Do you ask them about injury history? Because I don't know about you, man, but it seems like every year it's getting worse and worse in terms of how these kids are showing up on campus, right? Can't touch their toes, can't do an active straight leg raise, can't do a proper body weight squat, can't do a chin up, doing the hip sag push up for reps, and have scapular problems and mobility issues in their shoulders and all this, that, and other thing, right? And I struck out. Nobody nobody said they were asking those questions. You know, so I think that's a really key part, because just like I was saying, we're behind the timeline in terms of knowing who these kids are. They already know who they are. We don't, right? But then we also don't even know what work has to be done.
Yeah.
So it would help all of us, right? If in that evaluation process, it's like, hey, this is kind of what you're getting, you know, long-term knee issues, back problem, repetitive ankle sprains, just started training late in his high school career. His senior year started doing some stuff with the weights. And so now you can kind of create a picture, right? Or an idea. Okay, this is what I'm getting when this kid gets here.
Would you rather have that with the risk of getting some possibly misrepresented information, or would you rather have it where it's like, let's just start at the ground floor and know that if we got to go to the basement, we can, if we got to go to the parking deck, we can, but we can continue to ride this elevator up until we find where we got to be?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think there's power in being informed. For me personally, you know, like I like knowing what I'm getting, right? Versus like figuring it out and we've wasted time, right? Where time is so essential to our success, right? Look at how important time is right now. We always argue and complain about, we don't have enough time with our guys. We don't have enough time with our athletes. Well, we have even less time now because of this thing. And the reality is we might not see our athletes until June, July, right? Because, I mean, for here, graduation just got canceled. That's the second week of May, right? So, yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, obviously everybody needs different things to have that, you know, backbone or those cornerstones for success. But for me, I like being informed. I like feeling like I know the kid before the kid has even stepped foot on campus.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
Yeah. What about you?
The opposite.
What are you up to?
Phew, man, just all this stuff, man. Just trying to get ahead, trying to get something out so that they got something to do at home. Contemplating what the next step is while they're at home, you know, and really trying to evaluate this and not overdo it. I think.
Did you see Ben Kenyon's comment? A10's finest. He's talking about you. He's talking about you, man.
No, well, talking about the former, but what Ben Kenyon can't forget is he's still the best dressed guy in the history of the Atlantic 10 Conference. And that's never.
He had those swaggy suits, man.
Well, he didn't have the gray suit, you know, but.
The amount of sweat the gray suit of mine has accumulated over the years is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
I can't even imagine. That's why we went to slacks and polos. But no, I think that there's a lot of cool things going on right now. I think that people sharing and trying to educate and trying to grow, I think is great. I always think it's great. That's the whole thing behind CVASPs. That's what we want. We want conversations and we want people to share. We also complain about the fact that none of these kids get a break. And none of these kids
100%.
ever get to calm down or breathe. And all you hear from the guys, for the most part, is that they're bored already. You know?
Yeah.
It's been 4 days.
Yeah.
6 days total, I guess, if you count going home Friday. And it's like, well, part of me gets it. Part of me wonders, and has been trying to do like some soul searching with what we've been doing for the past X amount of years. Like, have we programmed some of the creativity out of them?
And like, have we taken it to the point where like some of these kids now, like, if they aren't here, there, then this, that they do just get so stir crazy because they've been so just like next.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, that next society.
You know? And it's like part of me looking at what we're doing, so we're just putting together like a simple week of just like 2 different body weight workouts and then a low end conditioning thing, repeat, day off. And then what I want to do is just record all this extra stuff that I'm going to do on my own, because if I don't work out, I'm going to lose my mind. Oddly enough, I got kicked out of park today, like off of I was told, like, this school that's totally empty. It's like, you can't use the field. It's like, I was totally distanced until you came over here. Like, I don't get it, but whatever. Sneaking back tonight. But anyway, like, no one's working a 12-hour day right now. But it's like almost like what our role is now. Like how we talked earlier, like, is our role to program for them, or is our role just to be like, yo, here's some stuff that we can do. Like,
yeah,
here's a hill.
I mean, I love you're spot on, man. I love the autonomy piece.
Yeah.
Where you make training fun, you make it creative, and think about it. This is the best time to do it. Or even just having fun with your athletes. Say, hey guys, take 2 paper plates. You could use 1, you could use 2. Think of a bunch of exercises and send me a video.
Yeah.
See what they come up with, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Or a towel, or a jug of laundry detergent or whatever. Like, so that's like, to your point, that's how I'm attacking this thing too. I mean, I think rest right now is a priority, just from all the metrics that we hit earlier in the conversation. You always know that you have to take some time off, but then you kind of get this pressure of like, hey Matt, when are we going to start weightlifting, right? Or you got the athletes knocking on your door, hey coach, when we starting up? And I mean, I like that stuff, but this is like a forced forced period of rest, right? So what I think is going to be pretty cool to see, it's just like when you haven't seen all your kids for the summer, right? And they come back in the fall. They're like so jacked up, so excited, ready to get after it. They want to hit the gas pedal and go, right? It's going to be amplified now. It's going to be like ×2, right? So, I don't know how long this thing's going to last. It might be over next week and might stretch all the way until July. But, doing the necessary planning and things like that. So whenever that time is, we can hit that sucker down and go, man, because they're going to be ready, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No doubt, man. And I think that it would be kind of neat to see that, like how it used to be before we had everything all summer. That extra bit of excitement when they come back, and it's like, we haven't practiced since early April, late March. Like, we're excited to get back to it. All we've done is play pickup.
Yeah. And here's a whole other, non-basketball, I guess it's strength and conditioning related, but it took a pandemic for us to increase fellowship in the community of strength and conditioning.
No doubt.
And, you've always been about it, but have we, okay, speaking of we as a strength and conditioning community, have we always been about it, right? And so now it's like, I got all this time on my hand. That's the worst excuse in the book. And we've talked about that all the time. I don't have time. That's BS, right? And so now it's taking a global, national pandemic, whatever you want to call it, for people to get on a Zoom call or do stuff like that, or do stuff like Instagram Live or whatever. Like, So on a whole other off-topic thing, like what I hope is, like, there's a greater purpose to everything in life, man. All right. So what is the greater purpose of this here? Like, I hope we continue doing stuff like this.
No doubt.
Right. And, CVAPs and the content that you're always pushing out, like, I know you are, but I'm talking about collectively, as a whole, will we continue doing it? I think we should, because it's just fun to see just the fellowship and how sharing people are. And, it seems like every day, now, like, your thing here has caught fire, like other people are doing Instagram lives and getting other people to go on, right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Right?
Yeah, dude. It's kind of a positive byproduct of a negative thing, right? And it's like the part, and Scott and I talked, Caulfield and I talked about this yesterday a little bit, like, I just hope that the one thing that doesn't happen is that it turns into, like, the next time we do this, it's like, I can't believe people are bitching about, like, whether or not you should back squat again. Like, are we back there already?
Yeah.
Or, like,
yeah.
If things work out and everybody comes back to CVASPs and like this clears out by and we're good to go, like, we sit down and we're still talking about people acting like idiots on sidelines and things like that, and Chase, 1,000,000,000,000%. Will injuries go up due to lack of prep time, or do they go down because the kids finally had some real downtime? Yo, I think that
really good point, man.
Beyond the $1 million question. Like, that is the one. You and I spoke about it, Chaser. Roos and I spoke about it. I'm very interested to see that. Especially, like, if there's a way to quantify stress-related injuries or issues, not just injuries, like issues, and how kids psychologically, like, if we want to call it mental health wise, are handling the season. Yeah. I'm with you, Chris.
That's a big time question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, none of us have the answer, but time will tell. And for me, I mean, here's the other thing I got thinking about today is, say this thing goes 18 months or I don't know, or whatever, like, say it goes all the way until August, and then we can all go outside and everything's great. And it's like new world by coronavirus. I mean, we're expected to play games the end of October.
We were. That's how it used to be.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe.
Let me ask you this: as a guy who I think is one of the best in college basketball, how long, if you were said, what is the minimum amount of time you need to get somebody ready to handle a basketball season? What would that time be?
I think 2 months, so you can at least have 2 phases of work.
So 8 weeks?
Yeah.
So if we come back to the last week of August, that would be August. September would be 5 to 6. Mid-October is going to be 8, which is when we start practice anyway.
Yeah, but then what's going to happen is, now you have 2 months, and everybody wants to do everything. They want to do their on-court stuff. They want to do their, 5-on-5. Guys want to do their skill workouts. I want to do what I want to do. And now we're trying to jam all this stuff into like a little round hole.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And to Chase's point, that could actually do a lot of harm. Just
the massive spike. Yeah.
Yeah, the massive spike, and us trying to, it's like, oh yeah, here we go, guys. Like, haven't seen you since, when we got the news we weren't playing in the tournament, but very interesting. And I'm interested to see how a lot of people
do it.
Huh?
I think we could do it.
Well, I'm going to be tracking the stuff anyway.
Oh, no doubt. But I think, and Mark's 100% right, you just got to do what's best for the athletes. But I think that with the 4 people, I don't know, there were so many people coming in and out that I don't know actually who's in here right now, but with Chaser in there and Adam, and yourself, guys who, this isn't your first rodeo on either side of basketball, like understanding what the biomotor demands of your team are and what is required. I think all of us too, if it got to a point where the coaches got a little knee jerky and we're like, but we've got to do all this other stuff too. I think that we've had enough experience to be able to pull that rope back on our end to make sure that at the very least, we aren't pouring the part into the cup that overflows.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So we can't do the harm.
Well, we would do our best not to.
Yeah. 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 That's what I was. Yeah. I'm in agreement with that.
I mean, it'll probably be frustrating. It'll probably be difficult. We'll probably have to find different spots where we really are just like almost focused, like lasery. We'll probably all call each other at least twice a week, like what is going on. But I think if I gave you 4 hours a week, or I gave Chase or Ringland 4 hours a week of the 8, and I said we got 4 weeks, I would be really confident that team would be ready. I'd be really confident that team would be ready.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, like, you can relate time to facilities, right? My background at Montrose. We had the smallest little shoebox weight room, but we made it work, right? And so
you guys are pretty good.
We were pretty good, yeah. I mean, we had really good players too, but and that matters.
I hear that helps.
But you conform, you adapt, right? It's kind of like what we do, what we're born to do, right? And so you look at, okay, like, what is the reality? It's not perfect. It's not ideal, but we have a month or we have 2 months. Let's design the best possible program to prepare these guys to be ready. And of course, I would love to have more time, but we don't. And this is what we're chopping off because we don't have the time to do it. And we're just getting as bare bones, as simplistic as possible, right? All the stuff Matt Johnson was talking about, player specific, basketball transference and all this other stuff. Like, we're throwing all that stuff out the window because we don't have time. And it was a great idea, but sorry. And we're going to get you ready.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's a really solid point. I want to work on that, like, for sure. And next number of weeks, I'm here in my at-home office.
Yeah, and it's not to say that one way is good and one way is bad because we don't have the answer yet, nor do we hope to have the answer really. But I do wonder, like, I wonder if there could really be some legs to that, like the whole idea of, I mean, like, I'm sure your guys, when you guys got up to Manhattan, I'm sure you guys had a bunch of guys that were like walking funny and, moving goofy, but still balling their butts off.
Yeah.
Because that's what March is. But I wonder how much of that, with all of these kids, started in May and didn't necessarily start in February or whenever they started to have the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Facts. I'm with you, Chase. Yeah.
It's funny. Chase had a good thought, and that's kind of where I was going as well, is just in terms of the length of the season, right? It's like, does the NCAA just abbreviate it? And instead of playing, I don't know, I mean, 12, 13 non-conference games, and then you add exhibitions in there, like, we're going to start games, Thanksgiving. And it's a shorter season. So then you have your normal preparation time and what you would normally do, right?
Yeah. I guess my only thing with that is if they had to do that, that means they pushed football back. And it's going to take a lot for them to push football back. A lot.
I would be interested to see what a lot of those football guys are doing.
Yeah, Brinks and I have talked a little bit about it. That sounds like an exceptional challenge.
Yeah, man. I mean, not to say our sport isn't, dependent on strength and power.
Right.
But man, that engine you build in the weight room, within a football program, that will win or lose you games, flat out. Right. So, yeah. Damn, man, I love our conversations, man.
Yeah, dude. And it's great when we can do this and, like, the goal actually is accomplished, right? Like, you got a question or two asked by people that we got to rap about. And then you got people like Mark and Chase.
Mark Spellman. How you doing, buddy?
Mark and Chase hopping on here. And actually, it's funny, Mark brings that up. So a Hank Kresenhoff quote, I got to speak with Hank yesterday. And his whole take on this is all this is going to do is challenge the creativity of the coach. I'm like, it's so Hank. That's so Dutch. You're right. It's like, how creative can you be to get the job done that you need to?
Yeah. 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 I mean, it will really push our innovation. And I mean, maybe I'm guilty of this. Like, I think I've bashed some like innovative training techniques and stuff.
Yeah.
Now you got to be innovative, man.
Yeah, we all have, because it's all, what's important is the simple stuff, right? But if you can't get a barbell, how can you do simple stuff? Like, I've got kettlebells here, but like, my guys don't have kettlebells at home.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Like, what? You want me to use what?
Yeah.
That's why I like that post about the hill, even though people totally misread it.
I should have put video was taken August 2nd, 2019. But
yeah.
That was
like, guys, calm down.
That was a failure. But you're right, man. What you're trying to do with the park, like outdoor training possibilities. Like, hopefully here in Indianapolis, like, it stops raining and being cold, like, send some of that 72-degree weather my way. But yeah, man, that outdoor stuff, like going to parks and finding a good solid hill, like that's right off our football field. You can see Hinkle Fieldhouse in the background. Awesome, awesome hill. But yeah, finding a good hill.
Yeah, like a soccer field or like a track.
Yeah, man.
Huh? Coach, I'd love to see that backpack program. If you haven't put it online, share that.
Who said that?
Somebody just put it in the comments. They sent their guys home
with an all backpack program. So I wonder, like, what he put in there, like groceries or books or something?
I'd probably put books in there.
Yeah, that's cool. Post that, man.
Yeah, but it's like people sharing, and it's like ideas, things that we can use. And, I think right now, and I understand some of the knee-jerkiness that people are worried that, like, these kids have to have something to do. Well, they still got to go to school, right? They still got to pass class.
Yeah.
And on top of that,
he said canned food books. That's a great idea.
That's a brilliant idea.
Props to that guy.
No doubt. But on top of that, right, like, if this is non-countable and this is, non-Kara stuff, like, they can do what they want to do. Like, we should be providing, like, I understand why people want a program. And if people are going to need a program to follow because of whatever, I get it. But I still think
going out and finding things that you can do. Like the park thing's great, but I got a kid from Harlem. He's not gonna be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you would think, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard for him to find something like that.
Yeah. No. 100%.
So, like, you know, what can I do? Then it's trying to figure out what I can do for him.
Told my guys to go home and enjoy life for a week. Get outside and run, hike, climb, then reassess what kind of equipment they have access to. Love that, man.
Yeah,
I love that.
no doubt. Just be kids, no doubt.
Kids, yeah. That, hey, man, all those hours on the playground, right?
Yeah. It's
Flip them
just
back
like,
to that.
it's like so many people think that it's got to be structured, technique specific stuff. And don't get me wrong, it's important. But like right now, I don't know, man.
I mean, here's the other thing. We're thinking about, you know, okay, what strength exercise we can do. Are we even hitting nutrition enough?
Yeah.
Because, you know, yeah, not doing strength exercise will make you weak, but you know what else will make you super weak is eating like a slob and skipping meals.
Mm-hmm.
That'll make you weak.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I have some like pretty cool ideas, like, you know, nutrition videos and recipes and different things like that. I'm going to send the guys, and they send me their meal pictures, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm, you know, holding them accountable and monitoring that. But are they eating enough, or are they just shut in, starving, and now they're, you know, burning muscle for energy, and now huge muscle loss, way down. They come back just basically just withered away. And it was just all because of poor nutritional practices, right? So really, really hitting that, just I'm speaking to myself, like just really hitting that as well, as much as the, hey, do your paper plate exercises and grab your towel and your, you know, the laundry detergent, you know, all that stuff. So
Most of the questions we've received have been about how people can eat better at home.
really?
Yeah. Which part of me thinks that's like a head scratcher. You know, like when and this is back in the 90s, so I don't know, probably 3/4 of the people listening to this don't even know what that was. But like when I went to college, like I didn't eat as well as when I went home. Like when I went home, I was getting like a lot of vegetables and like,
oh, same.
You know,
absolutely, man.
When I would go to school, I was eating like it was a 7-year-old sleepover party sometimes, you know, like, and when people are like, I don't know what to eat at home, there's part of me that's like, what are your parents cooking?
Yeah.
Like,
well then,
am I that old?
We were talking earlier, like, all right, Chase, we'll see you, man.
Hey, Chase,
keep up
thanks
the good
for coming,
work, bro. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Yeah, you know, it's you know, we were talking about access to training equipment. If a guy wants to go on and buy a pull-up bar that you know set up in your door frame, or you know resistance bands, now they can't get that stuff. Access to food, you know. So, you know, what can you make if the only thing you can get is a dozen eggs, you know, and potatoes? You know, like, can we get creative with that? You know, are you making an omelet? You know, put the potatoes on the skillet, kind of roasting them up a little bit and putting the potatoes in there. Are you doing a little, you know, hash browns with it? And, you know, it's like, how can we help them with the most minimal means, right? And that might, I mean, it might, I know for myself, I'm working on 4 rolls of toilet paper here, man. Like, I can't find toilet paper anywhere. Right, it's funny, but like, so it's like, all right, well, Kleenex. Like, that's what we got to do. I even found on Amazon, you know, like the huge, like gigantic rolls of toilet paper that, you know, are in like the bathrooms of like arenas and schools and stuff. I even thought about buying those. Like, hell with it, it's toilet paper, right? But yeah, man. So, I mean, I didn't think I was going to talk about toilet paper on this, but
that's a good idea too.
from our boy C. Hayes. Like, quiz him.
What does C. Hayes say? You know,
So
he's always good for something.
He's asking. It's like basically quizzing them and then providing education based on what they get wrong.
Sending them a quiz. Okay. How would you create the quiz, C. Hayes?
So it looks like it's a Google form.
Oh, okay, now I see his question. It's on the bottom there.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah,
See, you're gonna get your guys timeout. I'm gonna take a 30, and this might be the first, so this might go full. You're gonna get your guys to take a quiz. You're gonna get your guys to take a quiz. If my guys are watching this right now, they turn this off. They're like, we're not taking a quiz. Like, I'm telling you that right now. Like,
they know about Metrofit. They did Metrofit for about 3 weeks, and our numbers slowly dwindled with that. And I was like, Metrofit? Oh yeah.
I mean, if you can get your guys to do it, bro, more power to you.
Didn't think we would have 100% compliance. Hey man, it's all. But here's the thing. It's like, incentive system.
Right.
But what the beauty of that is what are we doing? Like getting outside the box, man. What you were talking about, like connecting different points of this conversation here, being creative, creating autonomy, and also like kind of falling into that different relationship that you normally hold with them, right? Where, for me, like the guys know, like when they walk into the weight room, like it's work. Like I don't really like a lot of like lay on the foam roller and joke around and stuff like that, like because I have 30 minutes. Like they know I'll joke around like that on the road and whatnot, but like it's all about work. So for me, it's always the way they view me is like, hey, MJ loves me. He's going to hold me accountable. He's going to push me. And when I walk in the weight room, it's time to work. Well, now I can kind of fall into this different sector, right, of our relationship. And that will cause it to grow even more, right? Now we become more, tight knit. Now we've become, more unified. Right. And so, I mean, really cool stuff, man. I mean, there's nothing negative ever from being creative. No. Right. Nothing ever. It's like, you could always just, take the idea in your head and just throw it away. But in order to be different, you got to think different. Right. In order for your athletes to be different, you as a coach have to think different. So it's like, I know some people think I'm crazy and some of the stuff I spew is like, kind of just rubbish, but it's just me just letting all the stuff in my mind just pour out and be released, and I don't implement everything I do, but I think about it. And so like with that stuff, like really cool to see Hayes, like, yeah, absolutely, man. Like find a way to do a little, quiz and just have fun with it. And it's like, maybe it only lasts one day, but I'm sure there's going to be some conversations sparked from that. Maybe some laughs too. Why not?
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, man.
Well, listen, man, this has been a kick-ass hour. I appreciate your time. It's always great to chop it up. Appreciate everybody for jumping on too. This was dope, man. Yeah,
man, I appreciate you. I can't believe, this time is here, but, stay strong, man. Everybody on this, stay healthy, take care of yourself. If anybody needs anything, just reach out to me. I'm always willing to help, another strength coach, anybody in the field, just holler at me.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother. Great to see you. We'll be in touch.
My man. All right, buddy.
Yeah. Cheers.
And a huge thanks to Matt Johnson for spending the time with us today. Guys, I can't tell you a conversation I've ever had with MJ that I didn't come away with something. He's a guy that I know for sure is always just open, honest, and candid in his sharing, and is really just trying to be better and trying to help all of us be better. And, Matt sitting there and not just sharing what he's doing and where he's going, but kind of pointing the thumb a couple times there and saying, these are some things I need to be better at, and we all can be better at as well, to me is just completely priceless. So, Matt, I can't thank you enough for being so open, honest, and candid as you're sharing, brother, and for everything you're doing to help us all be better. And as always, if you did enjoy the talk, please share it to the social media outlet of your choice, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. As always, we're just trying to get the best information out there to all the great coaches that we can. And as always, thank you for everything you do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. We will be back next week with another awesome guest. We will see you then.